Weight loss solutions are not one size fits all. Everyone deserves to have a weight loss plan that is tailored to their specific needs. So, if you're struggling with losing weight and need some extra help, it's time you check out Hers. Hers is changing women's healthcare by providing you with access to affordable weight loss treatments. Hers connects you with a medical provider who will create a personalized treatment plan tailored to your needs. Start your free online visit today at forhers.com/think. That's forhers.com/think for your personalized weight loss treatment options. Forhers.com/think. Hers weight loss is not available everywhere. Compounded products are not FDA approved or verified for safety, effectiveness, or quality. Prescription required. Restrictions apply. Wegovy and Ozempic are not compounded. Welcome to the Think Loud Crew podcast. Today, it's me, R. I wish Cheyenne and Shanan could join us because we have a special guest, but Shanan is being the wonderful mom she is at Parker's school performance, and Cheyenne is being the wonderful mom she is. Ace woke up with pink eye, so they're at urgent care. So please send prayers for a great performance. Well, performance already happened, so just good mom days. And please pray that Ace is actually great right now because that's what we need in life. Today we have a special guest. We have Monica from Love is Blind season 7. Woo, it's so cool. Hi, Monica.
Hi, I'm so excited to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for joining me today. I'm very excited to speak with you. You were actually one of my favorite women on Love is Blind. So
Thank you. And that means so much. And I'm a big fan. I watched you and your sister on MTV for years and years. So it's very surreal being here.
sometimes I forget that I too film with
You're
my
on TV.
sister. Yes.
Yep.
I'm always like, my sister's on TV, and they're like, but you are too. And I'm
You
like,
were too.
you're right. You're right. Like, you're right. So I do have some questions for you. I just want to jump in this. What initially drew you to Love is Blind?
Um, Gosh, so I have always been a fan of the show. I think it's a great show. I've watched every season. You know, now since doing the show, I realized there's a level of fandom that's, I was just like a regular viewer. But I really, really liked it. And I was watching the 4th season at the time. If you remember, it was Seattle. I don't know if you watched it, but there's a Black couple on that season, Tiffany and Brett. They end up getting married. And I was watching them. I was like very moved by their story. Tiffany was the same age I was at the time. She's Black, and I just love that she said so often, if I would have seen Brett on a dating app, I might have swiped the other way because of little things like he didn't go to college, but he is, incredibly well educated, has a great job, all of these things. And they end up having this amazing love story. And so I was watching their wedding and I was crying. And a day later, I was on a flight and people started DMing me and sending me articles that said Love is Blind is coming to DC. So I decided to apply. I was single at the time, a couple of months out of a relationship, and I applied for my phone on the plane. I didn't even answer one of the questions because one question was, it was a video you had to take of yourself and I was in flight. So I submitted, excuse me, I submitted the application never thinking they'd call, and they called.
I love that people thought about you. Like, I think that's very special. Like, to be like, this is something for you.
Yeah, I was like, this must be a sign or something. So I'll just, I'll go for it. And the rest was kind of history. It was a 6-month casting process. And honestly, at the time, I was like, I really need to take a break from dating. I'd gone from one relationship to another that had all ended pretty poorly. And so for me, I found the casting process to be like a great distraction, to not think about, a breakup or a guy. I was like, oh, I have this thing to do today. I have to send them this. I have to do. So it was like a nice just after work activity. And yeah.
I like that. It's like a little healthy distraction where it's like, I'm still thinking about dating, but I'm just not there yet.
Not there
but
yet.
I will be there.
I will be there and maybe potentially getting married on national television.
Did that scare you at all? Like,
honestly,
thought
it
of
was
that?
it It didn't scare me because I'm in a place in my life where I'm definitely ready for that. But I don't know how to describe it. I just never thought it would happen, right? So I never thought I'd be picked for the show. When I was on the plane, I was like, there's probably like some kind of mix up. I called my producer a couple days before leaving for my flight, and I was like, "Are you sure? Like, I'm old, I'm 36. I'm old. Are you sure you guys want me?" And then when I got to the pods, I thought, I'm not going to like anyone. No one's going to like me. And then when I got engaged, I was like, I'm probably not going to think he's handsome. Like I just didn't think the next thing would keep happening. And it did until it
I'm
didn't.
happy that you brought up your age because when I first saw your age on the show, I was instantly rooting for you. Just because I'm 35 now, and I'm like, marriage before wasn't necessarily on the brain, but now I'm like, I would like a husband, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Same.
many things where it's like, I need that partnership. And it kind of surprised me at first. And did you go in hesitant, like just that people you wouldn't like have that connection just because you were
Yeah.
older than most of the other cast members and just not knowing like are you going to be at these pods with a 24-year-old man like
Yeah. So
that
it's the reason why I actually called my producer a couple of days, 48 hours probably before leaving for filming was because at that time, season five, I think season five, yes, was out and it was a relatively young cast. Like people in their early to, mid, late 20s. And so I'm very proud of my age. Like I'm not, it's like been the biggest thing people have given me a hard time for since the show's come out. Like you're 37, stop making reels. But it is what it is. I've never believed in the traditional fairy tale of having to get married at a certain age or anything like that. So my very, very first date in the pods, date number one, I go in and I'm talking to this guy and like very quickly we start talking about age. And I mentioned I was 36 at the time. He was, I think like maybe 29. And I mean, I am not kidding you, are. He was like, listen, it's never gonna work. Like, I wish you well here. You're a little too old for me, basically, is what he said. So I remember when I first got into the pods, meeting the other women, I was the oldest person on the cast, and I was like, I'm gonna be everyone's big sister. I'm going to be so in control of my emotions. Literally came back from that date and I was the first person crying. I was like, he thinks I'm old. So I thought that that's how it was going to be.
yeah
Yeah,
that would I honestly feel like you open the door for more women who are of an older age to like be open to these types of shows. Because it's
right.
like the more I speak with like single women, they're like, what do I do? Where do I go? The dating pool is it's
The
very
streets are
limited.
cold. The
It
streets are cold.
is yeah, the streets are cold. You know what?
Yeah.
That's a new one.
Yeah.
Say there's species in the dating pool, but I'm like, it's a little vulgar, so I like it.
Yeah.
Streets are
Yeah.
cold.
The streets are cold.
Streets are very cold. There's,
Freezing.
there's a lot of block ice. So we're
Yeah.
slipping everywhere.
Literally, we need ice skates. Seriously.
I don't even know if the ice skates would help at this point because
I don't think so.
I'm just gonna go sit on the porch. I'll just watch.
We
Uh,
need to find warmer weather immediately.
please, like, meet me inside.
Yeah.
Um, it can be very rough out there, but I was very happy to see someone of an older age just putting themselves out there because to me, it was just motivation. Like Shannon and I are always talking about like, what's going on? So I was actually happy to see someone older just putting themselves out there and being like, you know what? Who cares?
Yeah.
And I think
Cheers.
ageism is such a big thing where, we're used to the older man, younger woman dynamic, but as we've seen, like, or as I've seen lately in like social media, like you can have an older woman and a younger man, and they are very successful in their relationship, and it's okay. So,
100%. There's no like one path forever. So many of my friends are married to people that we all went to college with and they got, and that was just never going to be my story. And I very much embraced that. Like it's never made me, I've always been the friend that, even in my moments of being single, have always showed up for other people's weddings and bachelorette part. I was never like down on myself for being 32, 33, 34 and experiencing moments of being single. So this was really no different. I was just like, I'm just going to give it my all, and no one's probably going to like me. And if they don't, I can go back to the cold streets of DC and try to, make it happen that way. It's fine.
Are you originally from DC?
I'm originally from New York City, from Brooklyn.
Okay, so one cold city to another cold city.
Yep. I
Like,
lived in LA for 4 years though,
oh,
and it was
really?
until 2022. I was in Santa Monica. Best year. I mean, it's just like the weather alone. I'm so jealous that you're there.
What inspired you to move to DC?
So I went to high school in the Northern Virginia area where I live now. I went to Virginia Tech. After college, I like moved around for jobs, lived in different places, went to LA with my three younger sisters. We were all there at the same time. They're all actually still living there.
Amazing.
Um, and then I moved back to DC actually for a relationship. So got me
I
back.
moved to DC for a relationship once.
You did?
Yeah, and then I came back to LA.
Yep. Not surprised.
Yeah, I
Not
tried.
surprised.
But I
Yeah.
love DC. I love the city itself. Like
Yeah,
I
it's a great city.
enjoyed it. I was very sad when I had to move back to LA. Love LA, but I was like, DC, I could definitely make it like my home. And
Yeah, it really is a great,
it's
great city.
and it was a lot more like I think family oriented and child friendly than I would have ever imagined.
Totally.
Ever.
100%.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I had no idea. I just thought like government, big buildings. And
Yeah.
then I was like,
Yeah.
there's tons of things to do for children. This is great.
Yeah. Yeah. It's great. It's a really great city.
I love it. Okay, back to Love is Blind. Were so while you were in the pods, were there any other connections that you made that weren't seen on camera or just that maybe, you just wanted to explore a little bit more, but once you made that connection with Steven, it was like, bye guys.
Yeah, there were actually a couple. So there was one with this guy named Nick P. You don't really get to see him a lot. You know Nick D,
Yes.
who gets engaged to Hannah, but there was Nick P. I liked him a lot. And then there's a really great guy named Tamar, who I liked a lot too. And that was like a really hard breakup, lots of tears shed between him and I that you don't get to see on camera, but he's a really wonderful man.
It always interests me like what they show versus what they don't show. Like hearing that you guys had like an emotional, like tears are flowing breakup, I would have loved to have seen that. But
Yeah, yeah, it's crazy because for the majority of the episodes that you saw,
mhm.
I saw them with you, with the viewers, real time. So I didn't know what was going to be shown. I didn't know if Tamar and I's breakup or relationship or what. So it was really weird to like experience it in real time. Um, there's so much that doesn't get shown. It's
Yeah,
crazy.
they need to do just like a behind the scenes, like run it back one more time. Here's a special episode of all the moments you didn't see, but like they are noteworthy because
You know what's so funny? So there's like they released a short, I don't know, maybe 5 or 10 minute long clip. It was only online through Netflix, but it was like behind the scenes, didn't make it to air scenes. So I watched that and I was like, oh my gosh, maybe I'll have a good, like, what are they going to show? Are they going to show Tamar? They showed me a really funny scene of me in the pods with the girls showing them my tramp stamp that I got when I was 17 and everyone like being like, this is unexpected because I have a blue like wings on my back. It says believe. But I was watching it and I'm like, okay.
I honestly I might have to see this off cam
Yeah, yeah,
off
yeah.
interview later.
I'll
I'm
send it.
very curious. I think that's you're like of all
Funny.
things.
Yeah,
I like
it's funny because I feel like I don't know if you agree, and I'm sure we'll get into it, but I like to have fun. I think I'm like a very funny person, and a lot of people tell me that I'm funny. And so much of the show, because you're thinking about getting married in a number of weeks, it feels so serious. Like very serious conversations. If your partner is bothering you in some way, you don't have it, like you have to bring it up because you're literally getting ready to walk down the aisle. So even watching that little scene, I was like, oh, I'm so glad that they showed this, not that it made it to TV, but it's like, that's me having fun with the girls, bending over and showing my like tramp stamp. So it was more like lighthearted Monica.
it shows like the a fuller picture, like because I can understand that. I feel like it is very serious. Like you're having these tough conversations, uncomfortable conversations in a very short span of time with someone you have never seen. Like you don't know their energy, you don't know if you're attracted to this person. So Yeah, it is crazy. Did you go into the pods actually believing that you could, make this connection, or were you just like, I'm here for the experiment?
Honestly, I never questioned whether or not I didn't think that, there would be the right guy for me or that I'd hit it off with anyone. But I definitely thought that I have the personality that would very quickly emotionally connect to someone without seeing them. Like that's just my who I am at my core. My favorite thing to do with my girlfriends is like deep conversations. Like I'm really bad at talking about the weather. I'm really bad about like, but if you want to go deep and like talk to me about your life trauma and like that is me. So I knew it would be easy for me to open up in that way. Yeah, that
You're
I was
like, let's
flowing with
skip the
emotion.
small talk.
Not
Who
me.
are you? No,
Yeah. Who are you?
time
What's your
to
value
heal.
system? Yeah. Yeah.
I love that. That resonates with me because when we're out and about, they'll be like, I often feel like I'm a shy person, but when we're out in social settings, I'm the first one to engage in like a really deep conversation. And I'll leave and I'll be like, oh yeah, this person did this, this, and that. And they're like, how do you know this? Like,
Yeah.
how did
You
you
don't
go
seem
there?
shy to
Like,
me at all. Yeah.
no, I get like social anxiety. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Um,
I can't tell.
Lots of practice,
Yeah.
lots of
Yeah.
masking probably.
I get it.
In terms of the format of the show, do you think it impacted the way you communicated and connected with others?
Yeah. I do. I think that one of the things I noticed really early on from the experiment itself was how attracted I was to like the men being so vulnerable and open and communicative, very different than a first or second or third date in the real world. And so even since leaving the show, like I'm always pulling the feelings out of the men around me even more now. Because I think it's like such a beautiful, amazing thing. And so yeah, I've always been a communicator and now I'm like kind of next level.
You had some practice. It almost lets you like hone your skills of how to pull it out in a way.
Yeah, I think so. I really do.
Weight loss solutions are not one size fits all. Everyone deserves to have a weight loss plan that is tailored to their specific needs. So, if you're struggling with losing weight and need some extra help, it's time you check out Hers. Hers is changing women's healthcare by providing you with access to affordable weight loss treatments. Hers connects you with a medical provider who will create a personalized treatment plan tailored to your needs. Start your free online visit today at forhers.com/think. That's forhers.com/think for your personalized weight loss treatment options. For hers.com/think. Hers weight loss is not available everywhere. Compounded products are not FDA approved or verified for safety, effectiveness, or quality. Prescription required. Restrictions apply. Wegovy and Ozempic are not compounded.
Do you think Love is Blind has changed your perspective on love or just dating in general?
I do. I think that in a number of ways, like um, kind of what I just described in terms of needing and wanting a partner who's very comfortable with emotion and being vulnerable. I think that the experiment really taught me like I need that in a partner and I can't be shy about it. Um, and I also think I went into the show saying, I do believe love is blind. I do believe love is blind. I remember on my very last interview I did on camera, I was asked the question, so do you still think love is blind? Yes, yes, yes. Since then, a year has passed and I've thought a lot about it. And I believe still that it's taught me that, yes, love for me is blind to the physical. That's never really been important to me. Um, but there is so much more kind of under that of like, can love really be blind to finances? Can love really be blind to different political beliefs? Can love really like in my opinion, I think no. So it's taught me like it's given me further confidence in the physical not really being a huge priority for me. What we were talking about earlier, like I left the pods being like, I would date a younger man. I would, it didn't matter in there. So why does it matter in the real world? But it's hard to be blind to like all of the other things that you get to know about a person over time.
I like that you bring that up because I'm one of those people where it's like the physical, like that's just a shell. It's really like, how does the person think? How do they feel? How do they operate? How do they deal with their money? How do they treat me? So I love that you bring that up because I feel like people, when they say, is love blind, they solely think of the physical.
Right.
So
Yep.
props to you, Monica. You're a
Thank
smart
you.
lady.
Thanks, R.
How has Love is Blind changed, or sorry, how has being on the show affected your personal life and your public interactions since everything has aired?
God. Oh, how much time do we have?
Got time today, sis. No.
It's been crazy. It really has been crazy. And I think it's affected my personal life in a number of ways, many of them positive, some of them negative. That's okay. I think that the biggest lesson that I've learned since it's aired is that you really can never win when it comes to like people's perception of you. Um, as the show was airing, there are certain, your followers go up and you have people asking you all these questions that I'm a very transparent, really genuine person. So always happy to speak the truth, but you can't win. Like, you were really mean to Steven. Okay, like let me explain why. Well, then you're too soft, and this is why you're 37 and single. And so it's like I kind of understand why people like the Kardashians. I feel like they don't address a lot of the BS. Like they just stay quiet, they wait for and I get it. It's like
They live their
I,
life.
it's just you can't win. You can't win. So I take my L's and I consider them, wins at the end of the day.
I wish Shane was here so she could chime in on that. One thing I've learned about her is you really have to block out the noise. Like, if you do something bad, they're going to attack you. Some people will oddly celebrate you. If you do something good, they're going to just hate you. And it's so
Yep.
confusing because it's like you said, you just can't win. And it's do your best to block out the noise. And like I feel like you're very solid in yourself. So I pray that all of this chatter doesn't and hasn't messed with like your mental state or your emotional state. Because people sometimes they really just, they want to judge you off of a 5-minute clip and think they know your whole life story, your whole personality dynamic. They don't see the full conversation. So it's just stick to your path and in
Thank
regards
you.
to social media because it's rough out there.
It's rough. I do feel like one of the things I've been most grateful for is like I was meant to do the show in general when I did it, of course. Like I I am so sure of myself and so confident and I know who I am as a person and like I'm very proud of who I am. When I was like 25 or 26 or 27, some of this stuff like could have actually probably gotten to me or made me question, am I a good person? But it's real like it's just noise and it's really sad to see some people just be like so hateful and toxic. But I'm very happy to share that it hasn't like rocked me in any way that matters. I'm still
So when we talked to Alex, we brought up mental health came up, and we found out that there was a therapist on the set. Did you ever use the services or just need those moments of like, am I good?
Yeah, I am so lucky to have a great therapist. I've been in therapy for 4 years now, very consistently, same therapist. So even as the show was approaching, my personal therapist, like we were preparing for the possibility of doing this and what it looked like. And I brought like tools with me to the pods and to set like things like journaling or reading that just could help me center myself in times of angst. And then there is a therapist on set who I met. I didn't really leverage her a lot, but then after the show, they give you a lot of tools and resources for mental health. They actually like paid for me for my therapy sessions for a while. I wanted to use my personal therapist just because she knows me so well, but they were incredibly supportive and it has allowed me to feel like I'm continue to be in a very great headspace. There's been hard moments. That's an understatement, but taking care of my mental health has been a priority for a while now, and it served me very well.
I love
since
it.
doing
I feel like you can tell. You seem very
it.
clear in like your thought. Even on the show, you were very sure of yourself. I know I've said that before, but it wasn't like you were trying to discover who you are in this process, where I felt like there were some girls who were still, or some women, sorry, still discovering like what do they want? How do they see themselves with their partner? What do they want from their partner? So just seeing how the different self-talk and the questions within the pods, I think it you reflect well in terms of you've had your journey and your different seasons and
Yes.
if I were a man in the pods, I'd be like, this woman knows what's going on, has a better sense of herself. And that's something that I believe you would want in a wife.
I would think so too. I think that like whether it's the pods or the real world, like being a very confident, secure, sure of yourself person can be very intimidating to men.
As
Um,
we've all learned.
100%. And I honestly think like looking back and watching Stephen and I's relationship play out, I actually think that that was at the end of the day the thing that probably should have kept us from ever ending up with each other. He is still very much on that journey of figuring out who he is and doing the work. And, I was under the impression at the time, you see some of it, but like he'd been in therapy and he had done the work. And I think he would admit this, like he is still, and under the surface, if you hear some of his comments, even on the show, he was really saying to me, like, I'm still figuring my shit out. And so, yeah, that was really never going to work. It's okay I'm always ever evolving. I'm not perfect. I still have so much more growing to do. But in a lot of ways, I am very secure and I need a man who's values that and is not afraid of it.
How was it watching you and Steven's interactions in real time as the season was airing
Oh
and
my
just
God.
like watching these conversations play back for you?
There are no words to describe. Like, what would be a really great show? A show if they had hidden cameras in our homes when we were watching the episodes for the first time, because there were moments where literally physically I was listening to things coming out of my mouth and I was like, my chest was moving towards the screen of like trying to be like, stop it, girl. No, no, what are you going to say? Oh my God. Oh, like, I'm saving my butt for marriage. Things like that, where I'm like,
I've said that before.
and I say it, but I'm like, I don't
When you said that, I was like, this girl gets me.
yeah. Thank you. I
Like,
was like, I'm so comfortable talking about just about anything that I was like, what am I going to say next? Monica, stop. Like, there's a camera in the room. Stop yourself. So, yeah, that was really like very difficult. Very difficult.
are you normally that open? Do you think you were just more open due to the dynamic of the show?
I'm really open. I always say to my friends, like, if I was a housewife, my tagline would be, I'm an open book. So judge away, something like I'm very, very open. Honestly, I didn't want to be as open
Okay.
um, with the cameras there. I went into the show being like, I'm not really going to talk about sex. Like, I have a job and I have family, and I just, some of it I was just like, I have a life to go back to, and I don't know what the ramifications of me being so open could be. So I tried that. But over time, like naturally, like who I am came out, and it was hard to not just talk about the things that I would talk about without cameras there.
I love it. So you mentioned you have three sisters. They all younger,
They're
or
all younger. I'm the oldest.
how did they feel about you going on the show?
Oh my gosh, they are like the best people in the world, my best friends. They're incredible, so supportive. They were so excited for me. Um, and they were the ones that had to like kind of assure me that this was really happening. Like they're like, no, like I was like, no, they're gonna call, they're gonna say no. They're my biggest fans. I'm their having like there's like my dad, he hasn't watched any of the show. That's okay with me. Like I am cool with that. And he's still really supportive, but to have my sisters like rolling up their sleeves with me and being like, it's been amazing.
I love that. You need that support. You need that village because
Yes.
the aftermath is always very interesting and it's still very early. The show's out, but it's like there will be more waves of people catching on to the show, and it's always interesting how you'll be like, okay, I think it's done. You know, it might get
Yep.
quiet for a few days, and then there's like a new wave of people, and it's you need those you need your sisters right now.
I need them.
Yes,
I
and I
love
think
them.
it's kind of cool that your dad is like, you know what, I don't necessarily need to watch it
I'm
because
cool, Dad. Especially after I heard we talk about my butt. I'm like, yeah, you know what? Just yeah, don't watch.
love me for who I am in person.
Exactly. Exactly.
In terms of work, how was it leaving work for the amount of time that you were gone? Like, did they hold your position? Like, I'm always curious of how this works for different people.
Yeah, my job was very supportive. Obviously, you can't get into the details of exactly why you're going to be gone or what you're doing, and you don't even know how long you're going to be gone for. So that's kind of difficult. And I'm so happy to say that they made it very easy. I've been in sales for 15 years now, and so um, I, one of the things I love most about being in sales is like, yes, I work for a company, but like I kind of feel like I'm running my own mini business within a business. So leading up to leaving, like I was working really hard. Once I got back, I was working really hard to like play catch up. And I get my shit done. So they were really supportive and have continued to be.
That's good because it's like there are some people who are like, I quit my job to come do this, and it's like
Yeah.
you're an adult. Like, what's going on? Like,
Yeah, it's a
that's a
lot. Like it's
scary thought to be like, hey, I'm here to get married to you, but like I have no job right now because I came to do this. So it's you gotta really, really trust and have faith.
and
And
that was one of the things you see play out in Stephen and I's relationship. Like we came back from filming and he didn't have a job. Um, And I didn't know that that would be the case up until we got to that point, or even like a possibility or question. And so it's very difficult when you leave the pods and there were some days in the pods are where I talked to Steven and we dated for 10 hours, literally for 10 hours or close to it.
wow,
Um, so you talk about so much and then you get into the real world and you are learning new things about finances, about profession, about family. And there's this moment of like, well, why didn't you tell me that in the pods? Well, why didn't you tell? And that for a lot of moments of being surprised, that was like my mentality at first.
yes,
Since then, I've kind of, learned that, yeah, you dated him for 10 hours in one day, but this is a 30 something year old fully formed human where like there's so much more that you're going to continue to learn. So that part was really I honestly hard at times to be like, why didn't I know that this could be, why didn't you tell me this? You know?
it's you're open about certain things, but you still are withholding pertinent information, things that
Yeah.
you need to know in order to make this type of decision.
Yep.
Okay, when the whole text message thing happened, was there ever a moment where you were like, maybe we could work around this, or were you just like, I'm good? Like that was that.
I was like, I'm good. Um, because some of what you don't see in a lot of what you don't see in Stephen and I's relationship was how much we talked about my personal experience with infidelity, how much I've been cheated on, how hard it's been for me. I mean, it's been like the before meeting him, the relationships leading up to that had all ended because I'd been cheated on. And in those relationships, I, in some cases, stayed around for a little while, learned the lesson the hard way. So I, I had done the work to know that that was going to be a moving forward. If anyone did that to me, it was going to be a non-negotiable. But what made me so firm in my decision with Steven was like, we talked so much about this and you said this would never be an issue. Like you promised to protect me and you promised it. And you literally like you went to a sleep test and that got you hot and bothered. Like of all the like I will never be able to trust that you can like go on a bachelor party. I will also say in the same breath though that at the time, if I'm being honest, I was really disappointed that he didn't try to fight for me.
Yeah.
Right? Like I was always going to say no, but it was very confusing if you see in the moment where the cameras are there and I'm calling him out for all of his BS and he doesn't even look me in the eyes. He looks at the camera and he's like, I'm gonna have to deal with this for a long time. And when he didn't fight for me and I didn't hear from him, I was like, oh, he doesn't really care that the relationship is, oh, he cares that it's on camera and that it's going to be on TV because it's a really bad look.
Something he had
Um,
to live with, but it doesn't, he didn't really take in consideration like how it affected you.
yeah,
It
which makes
like
you question everything.
yeah.
Like, yeah, that was hard. I mean, I was like, if he really like really loved me, I thought he would at least try and that I would say no. But yeah, every girl wants a guy to fight for them, right? Like,
Even if
uh,
you do mess up, we still want to see you grovel a little bit,
come on,
Make it
yeah.
look real. No.
Yeah, right. No, but for real, like, yeah, for real.
Just act like you like me, have some basic respect for me in this moment. And it was very much, he just seemed very like dismissive, like, "Ah, I'm out."
100%. And
It
like
was
I waited 36 years to be engaged. That was very real for me. Like I've never worn a ring on that finger. Like I've never had to call my parents and tell them I'm engaged. And so to have it so quickly blow up is one thing, but then to have to question the how genuine the whole thing was, that part is a little bit of a mind
that's confusing.
trip. Yeah.
It's confusing. Since you've been on the show, are we dating? Are we single? Are we flirting? Are we peeking at anybody?
I am in the best relationship I've ever been in. I've been dating my boyfriend since January. He's really just incredible. So, yeah, that's been in terms of like the show and how it's impacted my personal life since coming out, just making sure we're really solid. And, people come up to me all the time and they want to talk about Steven. And it's just like it's been the Monica show for a while. And so to have someone who is so sure of himself and confident and loving and amazing, it's like, yeah, this has been an amazing test. And he's passed with flying colors.
I love that you said since January. He's been boyfriend since January.
We've
Or
been boyfriend and girlfriend since like in a committed relationship since January.
I think that's great because it gave you enough time to kind of get some kind of foundation there and to kind of like prep him for
Yes,
what was going to come.
exactly.
And
Yeah.
it's nice to have that person there while you're going through this experience. Did he ever watch the show with you?
So
Like,
we made the first two drops. Drop one was episodes 1 through 6,
yeah.
mainly the pods and a little bit of Mexico. Then drop two was 7, 8, and 9, which is like primarily Mexico. We watched those two drops together. 1 through 6 was okay. It was good. Um, the reveal was a little tough for him. Um, and then 7, 8, 9 were pretty. 10 out of 10 would not recommend watching with your current partner when you're like exploring the physical and talking about him getting boners all the time. And like it's just so hard because the show films and then a year later it airs. So my boyfriend was very much like, we can get through this. I'm proud of you. This is going to be, it's okay. We all have a past. I want to know as much as possible before it airs so I can be prepared.
Yes.
So like we did that over the course of this year as much as we could. I told him things like, "Oh, in my reveal, like I think we maybe kissed once. We're kissing all over the place, like lots of smooching." And I was like, "I don't remember. I didn't remember. So I'm sorry." Like
I could only imagine being like, yeah, we might have like had a peck, a hug, and then you're like, oh,
Yep,
so
yep.
you
Had no
don't
clue.
have those moments. And it's
Yeah,
like you had mentally moved on.
totally.
Obviously, you're like, babe, not even this guy is not even a thought. Like,
No big, like in the past.
it's
Yes.
over. It's done. Oh my gosh. That is actually,
So
yeah.
the second half of the season, we didn't like the following drops, we did not watch together. He actually was with me at the reunion.
Okay.
So he was in the crowd with my sister and brother-in-law. And when we got to our hotel, we had to watch the last 3 episodes together, but I wasn't in the last 3 episodes. So those were a piece of cake.
It was good.
Yeah.
It was tolerable.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that you are in a new relationship. Happy, seems to be healthy, and he is showing up for you in like this really awkward moment where your life is very public.
Yeah.
And it's not just your life, it's a dating situation, it's a love, it's this
Right.
whole engagement. So I pray everything goes well there, and I'm rooting
Thank
for
you so
y'all.
much. You're
I'm
so sweet. Thank you.
literally rooting, rooting, rooting hard.
Thank you so much.
Scanning
Please
for
don't
this
do that.
moment. Yes. I can't wait to see, we're really engaged now. Like Monica
Yeah, right?
is coming. I love it. I want to do a little speed round or like rapid fire yes and no questions.
Okay.
Did you believe you'd find the one on Love is Blind?
Ugh. Um, I want to say yes. I thought I definitely could. Like I'm such a realist that I was like, it's probably not going to, but I certainly thought I could.
Yeah, I
100%.
want that option there. Did you feel nervous going into the pods?
Yes, but it very quickly subsided. I think at first, for sure. But I got comfortable really, really quickly.
Love
Like,
it. Was your connection instant with your match?
no. For him, it was. I was his number one from day one, all through and through. It was more of a slower burn for me.
That's
Yeah.
wild. Did
It was
you
slower.
experience any hesitation in saying yes in the engagement?
No, not at all.
Love it.
Zero.
Was the pod experience harder than you expected?
Yeah. It's highly emotional. You see the pods and the dating and the heavy conversations, and there's another layer to it, where you're also doing tons of interviews. Like they don't show a lot of the one-on-one in the like interview room interviews, but that almost feels like therapy. You're crying, you're like, yeah, I've been cheated on, or my family trauma, or like all of these different things. I was drained.
Did you feel pressure to move quickly in the relationship?
No, I didn't put any pressure on myself. Obviously, it does move quickly, but I was like, I'm gonna cross every bridge and dot every I and cross every T as like when I want to. I'm going to talk about sex when I want to. If I'm going to be physical, I'm going to do it when I want to. Like yeah, no pressure.
Previous to text messages and all, just Steven being Steven, did you have any second thoughts about the engagement after leaving the pods?
I didn't have second thoughts about the engagement. I had second thoughts about a wedding in a matter of weeks. Like, am I really going to do this when I don't understand his finances totally, when I don't understand like that kind of stuff? I was like, I'm not going to get married unless like the house is in order. So I was definitely starting to question whether marriage could be a reality for us.
Love it. Did you make any friends on the show that you're still close with?
Yes, that's been the best part for sure. I'm very close with, I love all the women, I should say. I love all of them. And I'm super close with a number of the girls. I'm actually going to brunch tomorrow with a bunch of the girls in DC. We're gonna have a day. I'm Ubering both ways. It's like
That's
we're gonna have so
wild.
much fun. Ashley's like my bestie from the show, and her, Tyler, and my boyfriend have done a lot of double dates this year in secrecy and spent a lot of time together. And I love Alex to death. That's my girl. So yeah, I love them.
It's great. You have other people that you can connect with, and you have these unique experiences. You need them.
Cannot imagine doing it without them.
Yes. Do you feel your story was accurately portrayed on the show?
Yes and no. Um, I feel like, I don't know. Obviously I wish that people got to know me more and my relationship more. I felt like, and I knew this, right? I was the first breakup in real life. Like as this played out, I was the first person to end an engagement. So I went into the show being like, I'm not going to get that much screen time. Like that's okay. Could care less. But I think because I was going to be the first person that the show kind of cut relationship wise, you had to spend a lot more time on Taylor and Garrett and on Ashley and Tyler. And because my breakup ended the way that it did, I feel like the show very much focused on our like Steven's like sexual comments and me being annoyed with him. Like they showed a lot of what I remembered as like, God, those were really the majority of our negative moments. All of those made it to air. and not so much of all of the positive moments and the happy moments and the fun moments. So yes and no.
Listen, I could see that. Do you feel supported? Did you feel supported by the production team?
1,000%. I love my producer. I love like the entire crew has been amazing during filming, since filming. Like truly, yeah, so supported.
Would you recommend a friend to join Love is Blind?
100%.
Cool. I
Don't
like.
think twice. Yeah.
Did you experience any post-show what if moments?
About Steven.
Just in general. But Tamar, what's his name, right? Tamar.
Yeah, Tamar. Yeah, I guess I would say no. I'm just like, I'm not definitely no what if moments romantically about anyone because I'm so happy and in such a great relationship. But I have felt like, well, what if viewers got to see that scene? Or if what if viewers got to see that full conversation? Or what if like, you know, that would have maybe made things a little bit easier, but also like we said before, you can't win. So, you also take it as like it is what it is.
Were there moments during filming when you wanted to leave?
There was no one's, I haven't thought about that. No one's asked me that. Um, there was one moment where I had a breakdown and I didn't want to leave and go home, but I wanted to leave the pods for the day because I was like really frustrated. Um, I told you that I like this guy, Nick P. And I wasn't telling any of the women who I was like crushing on or vibing with until the end where like many of the relationships were firmed up. And I essentially found out through someone else that Taylor was Nick P's number one, like that had come out in her date. And I was just like, why were you guys talking about that in your pod date? Like and then I was obviously hurt that I wasn't his number one and all those feelings. And I was like, yeah. So I had a little bit of I want to go home. And my producer helped me calm down.
Calm down. Would you say, or what would you say to someone considering an unconventional dating journey or looking to do a show like Love is Blind?
I say 1,000% go for it. I have said for a while now, like the thing that I say often to my sisters, to my friends is let's redefine fairy tales. I spent so much of my 20s very focused on my career. I traveled 5 days a week to all parts of the country for many, many, many years. And I've focused on having fun and living in different cities and like really falling in love with myself and getting to know myself. And so, I just believe that no journeys are meant to look the exact same. And so what's meant for you will find you. And if you get the opportunity, like lean in 100%.
Is there anything that you wish you knew beforehand?
That you can't win. Honestly, that's it. That you can't win.
I think that's a good one for in life. I like that one.
100%.
There's always going to be something. I say life is precise chaos.
Oh my gosh. I
That's
posted this week on Instagram a really funny, what I thought was a very funny reel. Took me a minute of my day to make it. It just came to me. And if you remember, there's the scene where Steven says in Mexico, I know I don't have to get you something nice like a Kate Spade purse. And I say, don't ever get me one of those. Do you know Louis? Do you know YSL?
I
So I
think
made
that
this
was the funniest conversation.
so funny. It's hilarious. It is funny. And I actually found out before leaving to film the show, we had meetings with production, executive production, and you got to ask them questions about what was going to be aired. Okay. So you start making a list. Like, I have this meeting coming up. Oh God, did I say that? And you don't get to watch the show before it airs, but you can ask them anything and they're going to help you prepare. So it came to me one day of like, I think I said something weird about Kate Spade and YSL. And I thought until I watched it, I thought that this conversation happened in the pods. Okay. I didn't not know it was Mexico. So when I asked production, they were like, yes, we do show that. And one of the women goes, we showed it because it's funny. It's funny. I got it. I don't want a Kate Spade. And I was like, you know what? It's funny. So I posted this reel this week. And if you have free time later today, this weekend, take a ride through my comments. It's not like I'm not reading the comments like crazy, but it's gotten so much activity and attention. It's like some people get it and think it's funny. Other people literally think that one person said to me that they wish the worst things for me. So it's very hard to like, I don't know. It's thousands of people having so much hate for you because you don't prefer Kate Spade, and that meaning so many things that you could have never imagined. Like, we're reaching that far. Like,
Reach. They love to reach.
yeah,
Reach.
it's
Yeah,
been
that
crazy.
that whole comment went like right over his head, and I was like, this man is not ready for her at all.
Like, I don't want a Kate Spade.
I thought that was hilarious. I was like,
Thank you. You
oh,
get it.
he doesn't know. He doesn't
He doesn't
know.
know.
He
And
doesn't
he doesn't have to
know.
get me one. He said, I don't have to get you one. And I said, I agree.
I know. You're
No.
not going to. I won't
Yeah.
wear
Yeah.
it. Thanks, but no.
Yeah. I'm okay.
That was a great moment.
Thank
Reflecting on your story, are there any parts you wish had been shown differently or given more focus?
you. I just wish you got to see more of the happy, fun, positive moments between us for sure. And I more than anything, I actually really wish that viewers got a chance to like fall in love with me a little bit more, or even not like me, just get to know me. It's like really you see a couple of moments of us in the pods, and then next thing you know, I'm getting engaged. So um, yeah, I feel like that makes it hard for people to really, and that's okay. It's reality TV, but to like really appreciate who you are when it's so small and condensed.
Give me three things that you would love for people to know about you.
Ooh. Okay. Number one is the thing that I love most in the world and I'm most proud of is being a big sister. Like that is who I am at my core, not even to my sisters, but like my friends, their friends. Like it's just been the biggest blessing of life is having them. Um, Two is that I am really funny. I am really, I'm going to stand on all 10 toes and say, you see me tell Steven he talks too much, and you see me, it feels like I'm nitpicking and nitpicking. That's really not who I am. I like to laugh. I like to have fun. Um, and then three, I'll say, I want everyone to know that the thing that I am actually most proud of, even above being a big sister, is that I'm most proud of being a Black woman. I feel like there's been, and this is something I've been dealing with since a young age, and it hasn't been as super loud, but there's just been people out there who are like, you let him call you a mutt, or you talked about the fact that when you were young you didn't know what bubble to check when it came to race, and like I talk the way I talk. I have my whole life. Like, and I feel like sometimes it can get a little twisted. I'm a very proud Black woman. There's like nothing I'm more proud of or in. And so, yeah, to be able to say that for the first time publicly, I don't feel like I should have to, but I'm happy to say it over and over again.
I love that. I threw I had something in my like a kid toy, a little fidget thing. When he did call you mutt, I threw it because I was like, oh, he doesn't. Oh, it was like it was very confusing.
Yeah.
And
A lot
also
of people were really confused by
I was
that.
very confused. And it also when he was saying that he was not aware that he was of color, I
Mhm.
was like, you look like you have black features. You're just very fair.
100, thank you. You and the Black community get
I'm
it,
like,
see it, understand it.
you're a
I
black man. You're
What'd you
black.
say? Yeah, you're Black. Like you're Black. It's actually you didn't get to hear the full story, and I won't bore you with all the details, but like the story as to how he found out is really interesting, and I think people would understand why he didn't know and his father didn't know, and but yeah, like when I saw him, I'm like, you literally look. I see those Black features through and through, and they're 10 out of 10.
Yeah, it made me think like you must have not been around many black people growing up,
Yeah,
uh, in order to just be there and mentally. Because
totally.
I know a number of, black people who would be considered white passing, but like they are black and they have black features. And other cultures may not know, but black people,
Black people know.
we
Yeah,
know. Yeah.
we know.
So when he was saying that, I was like, but you're black. Like,
Yeah.
it
And
was
like
very hard.
what that's one of the things though that I ended up really loving him for was because I hadn't seen him yet, so I wasn't able to be like, boy, like you look black. So when we're talking and he tells me this long, kind of crazy, interesting story about how his family found out, they also then looked back to clues of like when his dad was growing up, his dad looks like a white man with black features, right? His skin is white. But his dad was like, yeah, when I was growing up in the 60s, like I got called the N-word here. And he was very confused. And then he goes and does this DNA test. He didn't know who his dad was. And he ends up finding out that he's African. And so, but Stephen, when he found this out, he was so proud. He took African American cultures in college that year and went to the library and bought all the books about. And so I was like, I don't know. I thought that that was a really beautiful thing that he was so interested in where he came from and so proud of being Black, although it took him like 30 plus years to know it. I thought that that was pretty cool.
Yeah, I thought that I did like how he said he tried to do, he was there to educate himself, which I think was great. Um, but it also just reminded me there's so many people who
Totally.
live in that, I don't want to call it a shadow, but it almost is a shadow of just, just not really knowing.
Isn't that something? The
It's
number, I've actually been really angry and saddened by the people who responded to that saying, like, oh my God, that was such a funny moment and like crazy moment because he looks so white. I'm like, what? Like,
I
I
think
don't,
people really forget that black comes in all shades.
thank you.
It really, really does. My great grandfather, I want to say, is one of, on my mom's side, is one of 14. And the siblings literally, like Uncle Polly looks like a white man. And then there's a brother that I have not seen, but they have described as like being blue black. So it's
Mm,
like, and they are brothers, same mom, same dad,
yep,
and it's the full spectrum. Some have
right.
colored eyes, some have brown eyes, some have blue eyes. And it's just, we literally cover the spectrum. We can have straight hair, we can have curly hair, we can have a darker skin tone, we can have a lighter skin tone, and that is black. So
1000%.
I love that. When you say that you were not sure which bubble to
Yeah,
circle, are you multicultural
I
or
am. Yeah. I'm multicultural. So my mom, I'm a Black woman. Let's make that very clear. My mom is from Honduras. She was born in Central America, immigrated to the United States when she was like 12. Um, her mother, my grandmother, she's no longer with us, but she is a Black Honduran woman. My grandfather, my papi, is a white Honduran man. So, um, and then on my dad is a Black man. He has like going back in his ancestry, some other races as well or ethnicities. When I was like 7 or 8 years old and or 9 or whatever, very young, Stephen and I were connecting over not the fact that I am not proud or sure of the fact that I'm a Black woman, but as someone who grew up with Spanish speaking people and everyone speaks Spanish, then you have people who are literally there's not racially, they are from Europe and don't have any African in their ancestry. And if you remember, again, we're around the same age. Like back then, there were like 4 choices. It was like black, white, there wasn't. And so I remember just having to raise my hand and saying to my teacher, like, I'm black, but my grandfather, he's white, and my mom, am I Spanish? And I learned very quickly, coming home talking to my parents that yes, you always check the box that's black, of course. But I do think a lot of people have reached out to me online to say that they understand that when I was younger, that there might have been moments of being confused briefly and that they had very similar experiences. And that doesn't mean, and it shouldn't mean that people automatically assume that I am not proud of who I am. That's just my reality. Like I was a kid and I could sit here and lie about that, but that was my experience.
it's crazy that they make us pick in the first place.
Right?
Why?
Thank you. That point though.
Why?
Seriously. Why?
What's the point? We know what the point is, but why?
Right. We know what the point is.
We
Yeah.
know what it is, but why? Okay, I love that. And then one last question. This is a personal question. Can you please drop the skincare routine?
Oh my gosh. Thank you. It's so nice of you to
Yes.
say.
I'm
It's
like,
the number one thing I get. My number one compliment in life is my skin. So yeah, I will drop it. I actually yesterday for the very first time put all my products together and did a little like LTK post. I do think at the end of the day, I take very good care of my skin. this Botox, there's like all that, but like products and doing microneedling next week. But the number one tip I think I could give is I drink so much water. Like I had a doctor tell me once, like, you might be drinking too much water because you're like, I could give you medicine for peeing 8 times during the night, or you could just like not drink, gallons before bed. So, water, I think, is at the core of all of it.
I love this. I love this. Thank you,
You
Monica.
have beautiful skin, gorgeous skin.
Hi.
Send yours back my way too. Let's swap details.
It's water.
Do you drink a ton of water?
I love water, and I love getting my water through my fruits as well. So like watermelon, like cucumbers, like
Yep.
it hydrates your body better.
Yep.
And yeah, just water. And I
That's
don't really have like a set skincare routine. The older I get, the more I'm trying to get better because so many people have asked. And before I used to just be like, I just wash my face with water.
You
Like,
can never tell. Your skin
was
is
it?
incredible, beautiful.
But yeah, now I'm trying to do better about like actually utilizing the services that are out there and getting into different things. So
Yeah. I remember one time someone said to me years ago, and this is what made me like hyper focus on my skin. They were like, you go to the dentist and you do all these, and your biggest organ in your entire body is your skin. So like, let's take care of it.
I take care of it. I love it. Well, thank you for coming on today. I really enjoyed speaking with you. This has been
The
great.
time has flown by, and thank you so much for having me. Like I told you before, I'm like, it's so surreal being here with you. And even certain things that we talked about related to race, and I have not been comfortable. I wanted a space to hopefully talk about some of it with a Black
Mhm.
woman or man. So thank you. And yeah, thank you.
I'm
I'm so
always down for a Black conversation. I'm like, even if you need some more in the future, just to rattle off, I am here. Like,
thank you. You're so
great.
sweet.
I'm like, and I'm very serious.
Yeah,
Um,
good, because I am
where
too.
where can people find you?
You can find me on Instagram and TikTok under my full name, Monica Jade Davis.
Thank you all for tuning in today's episode. I hope you enjoyed getting to learn more about Monica and just her experience on Love is Blind. Drink your water. It will change your life. Please drink your water. Hydrate, hydrate. Ooh, that's a fancy cup. Hydrate, hydrate, hydrate. And of course, you can find us on your favorite podcast platform and on YouTube under Think Loud Crew. You can find me mostly on Snapchat at RKyleLynn. I make few appearances on Instagram every now and then, but I'm a Snapchat girl. And thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you all next week. Thank you.